Is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News, your home for comic books, movies, TV shows, and today we have the power. Unfortunately, this beautiful human being may not be Lauren. However, it is somebody who you should be familiar with if you're watching on YouTube because DT has joined me. He's back. Normally, we're talking Turtles, but today we're going to be talking Masters of the Universe, spoiler-filled, all of the glory. We're going to come at it from the angle of me, who's never really watched the shows growing up, and he's going to provide, his thoughts on as somebody who's been a big fan his whole life. So if this is your first time, make sure you like, subscribe, share, follow. Go ahead, find us on social media where I yap a lot. And then, of course, I'll let DT tell you where you can find him. So DT, why don't you introduce yourself for the fine individuals at home?
Yeah, so I'm DT. You can find me here on YouTube. Do a search for SpaceCastle or go to youtube.com/@SpaceCastle show. And I'm here doing all kinds of weird, nerdy stuff like you guys are, like retrospectives on cartoons and movies and video games and whatnot.
Yeah, dude, it's super rad. You even made like your own video game and all that. It's so cool, man.
I did make a video game late last year. It turned out great. It was like a bucket list thing, and I'm super proud of it.
Just cool shit. And that's how it should be in the nerd space, and bringing back all like the retro stuff, because I feel like YouTube and things like that has become a space where like my kids just sit there and watch people play video games and Minecraft or whatever, Mr. Beast or whatever it is. And I miss the early days of YouTube, and I also miss like the retro stuff. So we're bringing it back. One beautiful YouTube channel at a time.
Absolutely. 100%, man.
You
know who else is bringing it back though is Travis freaking Knight, man.
Okay, yes. As you know, we're going to talk Masters of the Universe. Travis Knight did a really good job with the Bumblebee movie, first and foremost. If you haven't watched that, I really like that Transformers movie.
I think that's my favorite live-action Transformers movie, honestly.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because I was agreeing. I was thinking, that it really captured, it felt like the cartoons kind of come to life, and it really captured the 80s spirit, which I thought this movie did really well at the same time. He just has that spirit that he can capture.
He's a fan, man. You can tell. Yeah.
And so first things, let's kind of go through it. It's, if you're unfamiliar, this is the IMDb tagline. A young man on Earth discovers a fabulous secret legacy as the prince of an alien planet and must recover a magic sword and return home to protect his kingdom. That's kind of like a weak IMDb. Somebody was pretty lazy there, but Nicholas Galitzine, if I pronounce that wrong, I'm sorry, but plays, Adam. Okay.
Yeah, the T is silent.
Camila Mendez, if you don't know her, she's from Riverdale. That's where I've kind of knew her from. She did a really good job. Idris Elba, come on, if you don't know Idris Elba. Skeletor is played by himself. And then, there's some Allison Brie did a really good job as Eva Lynn, if you will, and lots of just really good actors in this. So, going off of this, let's talk about the box office real quick because I got to get this off my chest, man.
Oh, man.
This movie does not deserve to sit there and make $54 million worldwide opening weekend and make less than Scary Movie.
Scary Movie. I'm sorry.
Looked awful. I am so sorry. Like, it looked... The awful AI, god-awful Photoshop that did it with their poster didn't sell me. And then I didn't see it, but the reviews were basically like the Wayans brothers were just 10 years late on their jokes, which sounds about right for them. And this movie wasn't seen enough because it rocks. What is your, spoiler-free take before we dive into the spoilers? Because I got to hear it.
Spoiler-free, it is equal parts a love letter to the original franchise from the 80s, which I grew up with from a young lad all the way up to... Dude, Revelations and whatnot on was Netflix, right?
It was Mark
Netflix,
Hamill
and Kevin Smith,
and Sheridan. They wrote it. Mark Hamill came back, and I know a lot of people took issue with that. That was my first.
I loved
time
it. I thought it was
some
great.
of the cartoons. I thought it was really solid.
Yeah, but it's this new movie is equal parts nostalgia and a love letter to the old franchise, while also like modernizing it and bringing it up to 2026 for younger generations who haven't necessarily discovered He-Man before. I thought the movie did a really, really good job of balancing those two aspects. I thought it did a really great job of being self-aware and silly without like being a parody of the franchise. There was an earnestness and a genuineness to it, and it was all just so heartfelt that I felt I had been done right as a lifelong fan of the franchise. And I hope that people who have been involved with the franchise, like on a professional level, felt like the movie did too. Because Travis Knight, you can tell he's just a fan. Like, he just wanted to make this movie. And this is a movie that probably shouldn't even exist in 2026. So it's a miracle he got it made. And he must be like the most like gifted, like pitch man in Hollywood to have gotten this done.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, legit, it's it captured it brought back the 80s essence, and that's something that can be really hard to do in this day and age, you know, especially with a property like He-Man, where its basis, it's a guy with a really bad haircut, and he runs around in a loincloth, and he has all sorts of weird characters, and then you've seen the memes of Skeletor. So, you know, it's something that you had to play it very carefully. But I thought what it did so beautifully was the dialogue was equal parts self-aware. You know, there was a lot of really good kind of meta commentary, especially where you got Skeletor being like, kind of, hey, this is when you're supposed to laugh. Oh, no, not this. Went on too long. But then also you can feel the emotional parts behind it. You know, I thought, you know, and Adam and Tila, and then there was a lot of, you know, what Idris Elba's character Duncan was going through. You really felt those, and then there were some gag jokes, of course, but
Yeah.
I think the score also kind of sold it for me because it
Dude.
was a bop from the get-go. The score had me like, oh yes.
Yeah, they had Brian May from Queen come in and do all the guitar riffs for the Sword of Power. So anytime He-Man actually like utilizes the sword, like that's Brian May just like noodling, which is super cool. And then of course, you know, they come through with Princes of the Universe from Queen, which is like one of like the quintessential fantasy songs. And then they bring in The Darkness for like the title track and the end credits. Like, again, this is such a labor of love. And Travis Knight had such a clear vision of exactly what he wanted to do and how to encapsulate that 80s vibe, but also still like not make it like a throwback 80s movie. Like it's very modern at the same time. But dude, it just, the soundtrack was fantastic. The score was excellent too. Like it was just enough like retro 80s synth and whatnot. Like I totally dug it.
Oh, the 80s synth, and then, you know, kind of at the end, it's like He-Man as he's right. I was going, yes, absolutely. This is so good. And you know, it's something that shouldn't work. You're getting modern times, because the hardest part was, how do you make this appeal to new audiences? And, you know, and I brought my 7 and my 10-year-old, and they were sold on the trailer, which is something that's not necessarily easy to do. And they loved the movie afterwards. They were super into it. And they were at, my daughter, for example, 7 years old, she's asking where can she watch the cartoons, where she can do that. And I think that's something that isn't being talked about enough too, when you come out of a movie like this that is for longtime fans while also being able to open it up. And I enjoyed that. You know, let's kind of talk about it. It's the opening scenes. You know, Skeletor comes in and he's running havoc, but I think Lockjaw and Duncan, the opening fight scene, the fights were awesome. The choreography for the fights were sick.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about it opening with just action right off the rip?
I loved it, man. I just, this movie just goes right for the jugular right from the start. And there's some exposition, there's some world building, some storytelling, but I love that it's just, we're going into spoilers now, right? Should we give people a warning?
Let's do spoilers. Cool. We are diving full on.
I love the fact that Skeletor didn't necessarily need the Keldor backstory. We didn't need to be told why he's a villain. He's just a bad dude who just wants godlike powers. Yes. So he invades Eternia and he just goes balls out and just like launches an attack and catches everybody off guard and just wrecks everything. And that's what sets everything into motion with Prince Adam as a kid for his own safety and to protect the power of Grayskull, which is imbued in the Sword of Power. They sent him off to his mom's home planet, which happens to be Earth. And that is actually canon from the original franchise, the original cartoon.
No, okay, I was wondering about that.
Yeah, like, his mom is from Earth. Yeah. Yeah, they talk about that early on in the cartoon too.
I really love, speaking of Skeletor real quick, how he's just a bad dude. They even kind of bring that up near the end when, you know, it's Adam's like, hey man, let's just have a conversation. What if we just had to open a dialogue? And Skeletor goes, I'm just a villain. I just like doing bad shit.
I'm evil, man.
All I want to do, man. I'm evil. And I go, you know what? I appreciate when the villain isn't made up. Like, we need to come up with some convoluted idea of why he's a villain, or we kind of, oh, maybe he's having a change of heart. Skeletor straight goes, no, I'm just bad for the sake of being bad because it's awesome. That sells me alone right there.
I love that because we don't really see that in storytelling anymore. You don't see like villains in Disney movies. It's always like internal struggle or something like that, or like dealing with like coming of age stories, which is all fine and well. But what happened to like Jafar and like Ursula and all the like just died in the wool?
They were just bad
villains. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you need that as a good foil to explain why He-Man is good. You know, like we don't necessarily need that much gray area in storytelling. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's compelling. But one of the things I do miss from 80s storytelling in terms of like cartoons and movies and whatnot is just having just bad villains, just bad guys. You know,
they're just bad for the sake of being bad.
Yeah,
and it was great.
Yeah.
There no other reason. He's got his bad guys, which Lockjaw and Duncan face off right from the get-go. And Lockjaw sold me there. Like that fight was so cool, seeing the different way that his arm turned into, various mechanisms. You had the hook, you had the blaster, and then Idris Elba was completely bought into this movie. And I don't think it works if he's not having fun.
No, he's just having a blast. You can tell he just is having a good time being in this movie. And I bet he was a riot on set. I bet everybody loved having him around.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. No, first of all, let's talk about the makeup and the practical effects before we get anything else.
Please, because a lot of these costumes were practical.
Yeah. It was awesome. So like Trapjaw, like you could tell like there was a dude inside like prosthetics. Yeah. And like from the mouth up, he was like kind of like similar to Skeletor, where he's got like an exposed sort of like green skull and then the metal jaw. But that's an actual actor who's emoting and all that, which I thought was fantastic.
And I don't think it works as well either. I mean, you can tell with Skeletor, there's a lot of the CGI effects with his face, which is fine. But I think it doesn't work as well either if you don't have a lot of these practical effects with these outfits.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it adds the perfect right level of 80s cheesiness to it.
Exactly.
It makes it translate live, especially in the action sequences, way more than if it was just a full CGI affair. And then you're just kind of getting taken out of it, because then you can really tell in some aspects, this is just CGI. Whereas when they're rolling around on the ground, such as in Idris Elba, when he's, again, Duncan's in his attire, or Lockjaw's in his attire, or whomever it may be, like, Fisto, for example, that's an actual, like, he's got a little
prosthetic head. Yeah.
And then, or Ram Man, he's in that. It's obviously not metal and heavy, but they're all in their actual costumes. And I think it just, when you're looking at them, you bought in, you feel like you're into this universe for that reason.
Exactly. Yeah. And of course they had to use CGI in some aspects, like with Beastman. You can't really do Beastman as a practical effect.
Right.
But I love the fact that they knew when to use it and when not to use it. And they also didn't shy away from the original 1980s designs of these characters. Like, that is largely what Fisto looks like. That's largely what Beastman looks like. Spinor, like all these characters are like pulled right out of the cartoon. And it's just something that shouldn't actually exist in 2026. And I absolutely love the fact that it does. Because for me, it was initial thrill, like seeing the first trailers where it's like, oh my God, that's Trapjaw. And like, he looks like Trapjaw. Like, he's not all black and like evil looking or something.
They didn't put
like
some
that.
weird modern spin where they take the color out, for example, because
he's green and red and yellow and blue. And he's just, these
colors are vibrant. Even the bad guys have vibrant colors. And you're like, no. Modern films, everybody has to be noir and dark, and you have to know they're the bad guy. And it's like, no. These guys, they are here for the fashion as much as they are here for badass villainy. And
exactly,
we're into it.
Yeah, that was another thing about the 80s, is everything was bright and vibrant and fashionable, and like, and it was flamboyant, I think is the word for it. Like, Skeletor in the original cartoon is very flamboyant. He's like, I'll get you, He-Man. Yeah. And he's, just a purple dude wearing a loincloth and like a bandolier and a hood, and he's a yellow skull. Man, he's essentially this in that movie, or that in this movie too, which is just wonderful. Like, they toned down the voice, obviously. It's much more in line with like the Frank Langella Skeletor of the 1987 movie versus the cartoon. Right. But he's still sassy, and he's still like, snapping his fingers and like telling people off.
Sassy
like,
too, and
great.
I don't want to say the actor's name just to give him, but
it was Skeletor, they got him to play himself,
right? If you didn't know who was playing Skeletor, you never would have known, because they obviously was immersed in the voice, was deepened and changed. But there was so much sass, and he goes, when he's talking to villain, he's even like, "Don't mess with me, woman," and just these other, and he's maniacal laughing and raising, and he's like, ha ha ha, and then he's looking around like, what? Come on, guys, that was the moment. Like, where were you? And it's super just the humor show. And what you want in a movie, especially me, is to be entertained. I want that heart, humor, spectacle factor. And to me, this movie really had all three. There was a lot of spectacle, there's a lot of heart, a lot of humor. I love kind of jumping around, but I love that they didn't try to come up with some lame way for these names to get made. It was, this kid got transported to Oklahoma City as a 10-year-old, and to his 10-year-old brain, he was drawing what he remembered. And so he gave them names off of what he remembered. And to a 10-year-old, hey, I only remembered you as Fisto. I didn't really know you. I knew you as Ram Man. Hey, what did you name yourself? He-Man. And he was, like, I was 10. But it works because these names really are cheesy, but then to kind of put the spin to be like, yeah, no, he was a 10-year-old kid and these names stuck for that reason. It was
Yeah.
genius. So clever how they did that.
Again, it was the the modernization of these characters and whatnot in the franchise for this movie. Because, like you said, if you just dropped the audience into this world filled with characters named Ram Man and Mecha Neck,
Yeah,
people nowadays, like younger people, probably would have just rolled off. They wouldn't have been able to like hang with that. But the device of using Adam's childhood memories and what he like the names he made up for these characters so he wouldn't forget about them as he was growing up on Earth was brilliant. It was brilliant.
yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think of the Earth time? So we kind of started on Earth, and he's just kind of working HR and looking up swords. His fascination with swords because he can't find his sword, and then lo and behold, it kind of. I think my only kind of complaint would be when the weirdo dude at the comic shop basically shows up and he's like, "There's your sword," and I was never here, and disappears, and that whole thing was kind of weird. I feel like it was cheesy because again, it had like the nerdy vibe to it. So ultimately, I'm not mad. I just felt like that was probably like the only part that kind of almost took me out of the movie a little bit. But when he's rolling around trying to get the sword out of the statue, and I'm not mounting it, he's mounting me, and all of it was hilarious.
Yeah, that was probably one of the biggest laughs from the audience is when he's like bent over, like ass to camera, trying to yank the sword out of the statue's hand. All the Earth stuff. So when they announced they were going to make the movie, and then like the behind the scenes photos came out and the first trailer dropped, that was the one thing that I was kind of skeptical about. It's like, do we have to start it on Earth? Like, why are we doing this? Like, we know that canonically, He-Man's mom, the Queen of Eternia, is from Earth. She was an astronaut who crash landed after being sucked through like a wormhole or something. So Earth is still canonically part of the franchise, but the biggest issue with like the 1987 movie is setting it largely on Earth for budgetary reasons, where like He-Man and Tila and Man-at-Arms and Gwildor go to Kansas or Missouri or something and meet Courtney Cox and hang out. So I was like, oh my God, they're going to cheap out on this. It's going to be like really lame. Everybody's going to be hanging out on Earth. It's going to be stupid. But no, the story actually made a lot of sense. Like if you had to whisk Adam away someplace where Skeletor couldn't get to him, why would it not be Earth where, at least he looks like the people there and he talks like the people there and his mom is from there. So he's probably got a little bit of understanding about the cultures of Earth and whatnot. But I think the Earth stuff largely works because of the performance and just the genuine heart that Nicholas Gallanzine brings to the role.
Oh
like
yeah,
it's just the right amount of like goofballness. Like, yeah, of course he's going to be telling dates he wants to impress that he's from another world and he's actually, the guardian of godlike powers. And I love his date's reaction when he's explaining this to
it's
her
like,
over
I
dinner.
have to take this.
Yeah,
like, it's not even ringing.
Not ringing.
No, I have to take this and go. I did really enjoy it. I think he sold it, I should say, extraordinarily well, because to him, this all really happened. And then you kind of get, I don't need too much backstory into, oh God, how did he get adopted? Who found him? What is his family? I didn't need that. You got like a couple little hints into it. But by and large, he's somebody who'd been trying to go home because he remembered it. And that worked for me. I liked that his roommate, every time he came home, was trying to hide that he was watching rom-coms. That was kind of hilarious with like the Notebook and stuff. Thought that was clever. And then even he was like, hey man, what's going on here? Because like you, I was a very big doubter when I first saw the trailer. I was like, yeah, this doesn't look very great. And I was very worried that they were going to Earthify it.
Yeah.
And my biggest fear was everything's going to take place on Earth until the third act when everybody gets transported. And now we're going to see Grayskull and stuff in Eternia. But that didn't happen. We spent like,
it's like 15, 20 minutes. It's not even the first third of the movie that's actually set on Earth. I don't want to say it's mercifully short, but I think it's very, very carefully measured because audiences just want to get to Eternia. Like, we're on Earth for just long enough to establish who Adam is as an adult, to establish that he's a fish out of water. He longs to go home. He doesn't really belong there, but he's also kind of developed into the man he needs to be, which is an HR rep who is like in touch with his feelings and is a non-toxic masculine figure versus Skeletor, who's like a full-on Chad in this, which is a brilliant dynamic.
Yes. The duality of the two of them, it works so well because Skeletor has no time for feelings. He's very, he talks down to Alison Brie's character all the time. It's very just awful. Whereas Adam routinely goes, all right, I'm going to start a dialogue. And they're like, start a dialogue? Is yeah, we got to talk. And he tries to start to talk to everybody. I really appreciated how he genuinely wanted to just talk instead of fight. Whereas a lot of the time, your first reaction would be just to punch, punch, punch. But no, that he actually tried to talk. And I love that aspect.
There's very much a Corn Sweat Superman vibe to this He-Man.
Ooh, there's a good one.
It's very much a character who would rather try and talk things out and try and solve problems without punching his way through them. But when he has to, he's gonna fucking punch his way out of him. And He-Man gets that at the end of the movie. He gets that sort of World of Cardboard character beat, if you will, which is one of the most famous scenes in the Superman animated series, where Adam / He-Man acknowledges that he's got this power. Like, he is virtually unstoppable. But up to this point, he hasn't wanted to wield that power because he doesn't feel it's necessarily right. There's a moment after he beats Trapjaw and he rips his arms off and he shoots a bunch of Skeletors, Skelenites, and they jump off and take off. And Man-at-Arms is like excited and cheerful, and he's psyched that like He-Man just like took out all those dudes. And He-Man himself is like, I don't think that this kind of violence and this sort of problem solving is something we should be celebrating. And they have a really good talk at that point, He-Man and Man-at-Arms, where Man-at-Arms is Duncan is clarifying himself in that violence itself is not a good thing. Not trying to stop and talk things out first is not a bad thing. It's just knowing that you have the power to protect the people you care about and going ahead and using that power if need be to protect the people you care about. So there's a lot of, and none of it ever really comes off preachy, which is really nice. It's just a very interesting and, again, modern take on a character that has largely just been like punch, 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 swing the sword, beat the crap out of the bad guys. There's a slapdash moral tacked on at the end of the episode of the cartoon, and then we move on to the next episode where Skeletor's got some new scheme. Like, no, there's actual character development here, and He-Man is actually a cerebral character and a sensitive character. And like, thank you, Travis Knight and Nicholas Galantine for bringing that to light and modernizing the character in that way. It was very, very well done.
It was. And I like that dynamic too, because Duncan was dealing with PTSD. He failed, you know, and that's something that kind of spiraled him. And so Tila really had to kind of take care of him and was this badass woman character at the same time that you never felt. It wasn't the typical, oh God, this woman character, this female character. She never becomes like this damsel in distress, because what I love is that all of the women in this movie are strong. They never feel as though, you know, you got to save them. And even, you know, Allison Brie, the way she played it, she was very smart and powerful and knew when to leave and knew when to do what she needed to do. And, you know, He-Man's mom there, she did an incredible job, and Camilla played this amazing. She was just kind of like, oh God, what did we do with this guy? Who is this guy? And then one of my favorite things as well is I love that when he got the sword, he didn't just automatically know what to do. He kind of was, again, running, and he's out of shape, kind of, oh God, do we have to keep running? But I will say that it's incredibly funny that when he became shirtless and everything for the first time, getting those powers, we pretended like he wasn't already ripped, and then they bulked him up and stuff. And I was like, dude, you just telling me that this man had like his little Captain America while he was clearly ripped, and they tried to hide that a little bit. And then he finally got bulked up and everything. And I was like, that was just hilarious to me. And he's like, whoa, look at this. And then they mentioned him a bunch of times, like, your loincloth is a little close to me, or like, I'm sorry, they even kind of make fun of the fact that he's running around this loincloth too. And it was just, the characters, I think, also sold it, their dynamics, because Duncan, again, has incredible character development with Roboto, who I didn't realize was played by Kristen Wiig. I was looking up who was this. Yeah. And the two of them, she's a robot, a killer robot at that. But the two of them even kind of just have a blast. And you can see both of them just having the time of their lives on the bridge, fighting the bad guys, keeping them out of Castle Grayskull there during the big finale. Everybody just made sense with each other. There was all these characters that I loved seeing together. I wanted more time with. Just, I could sit there and just listen to a lot of these guys talk throughout whatever it was. And then the big heroic, when they're all kind of in jail too, is what I appreciated. What Adam didn't right off the bat have this big heroic speech. Everybody kind of doubted him at first and like, what are you saying? When he goes, how much can you bench? And Fisto goes, bench?
What is bench?
It just, yeah, he didn't just automatically, oh, now I have these muscles, I have this power, know what to say. He was still very much who he had always kind of been. And that's
Yeah.
something that I feel like some movies want to just skip, and the character knows what to say right away. They know all the things and everything's going to be kind of OP, but they never made you feel like that at all. It very much felt like there was so much character development for Adam every step of the way. He had to figure things out on the fly.
Exactly. And like when he first uses the sword of power and first turns into He-Man, there's sort of like an instinct that kind of kicks in where he is actually able to like figure out how to use the powers on the fly to beat Trapjaw. But
Yeah.
there's also like a giddiness, like, oh my God, I'm actually doing this. This is crazy.
Yeah.
And
He's like,
then
wait,
like,
I'm doing that?
yeah, it's almost like a high that kicks in when he uses the powers for that first time, which is really awesome. But yeah, he still kind of gets tossed around by Trapjaw too, and he kind of gets his ass beat by Skeletor a couple times. And there's very much he's not a Mary Sue, is what I'm getting at, or whatever the male
Right.
equivalent of Mary Sue is. He's not the character who is just basically kind of sort of the He-Man of the original cartoon, where he just knows what to do at all times, he just does it. Like he's a developing character, which is great.
And you saw a lot of that too. I really liked when the big chase scene after they get found out, they leave and they're being chased through the forest and things like that. He was kind of figuring it out. He dives out there and he's fighting, and then you really see it kind of start to click when he stops the one razor ship and he just kind of throws it and he goes, whoa, I can do this. And very much, again, I would have that same reaction because you have these newfound powers.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was beautiful when he kind of gets the sort of power stabbed through him, and you get this really beautiful moment between him and the sorceress, Morena Baccarin, excuse me. She plays, I always love her when she's in a movie because I know she just plays it. She's such an underrated actress in my opinion.
She should be A-list. She's amazing in everything she does.
Seriously. She's just one of those characters. I feel as though she's kind of been notorious for TV. Granted, we know her from
Firefly.
Things. Right.
Yeah.
But she's largely a TV actress. And she never, I feel like, got her proper flowers because any movie she's in, she does so well. And as a sorceress, she does incredibly well. She doesn't have a ton of screen time, but at the same time, she never explicitly tells him what to do. Mm-hmm. She's just like, dude, you got to believe in yourself. You know what to do.
Yeah.
Just look into your heart. And we get another good line when the roommate comes in and goes, oh, sure, die right before the rent's due. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. That was amazing because he goes, I think I died.
Big laugh in the audience. Yeah, that was awesome.
It was perfectly timed, the way that they wrote the script. And, I do want to shout out because the writers were Chris Butler, Aaron Nee, and Adam Nee. Mm-hmm. I feel they did a really good job because it's a movie that doesn't rely on comedy through the script through and through. They don't tell you every step of the way. You get a lot of good comedic moments, such as the big battle when they're in the serpent, Skeletor's little lair, and he's fighting all those guys. Yeah. He gets the one dude with spikes stuck on the ceiling, for example, and
Spikor.
The soundtrack rips to that, and you're having the time of your life. And I was loving that. And he's beating ass, and then ultimately he loses because, again, he catches this emotion. He's seeing his dad for the first time. That was a beautiful moment. And it's not one that drug out too long, in my opinion, because you have to really be careful when you're transitioning from these awesome scores or these awesome fights to, all right, now the hero's going to kind of be at his lowest. And they didn't sit at the low point. And another thing is there was no inner conflict between the heroes. Like Teela and Adam never really had this conflict between them. And do they have like a romantic relationship at all in the lore?
Not really. It's flirted at, but never really like officially like the two of them ever hooked up. They were just two really hot people who were really good friends that were probably hot for each other, but kept it professional.
Okay. See, I was not totally sure about that myself, and so when they they flirt with it a little bit in this, I think perfectly. But I really love that they never had that romantic. How you can kind of stop a movie with a big romantic moment where the two hero leads, they didn't do that. They were very much just making fun of each other, and they came close, but obviously he misread the situation. I thought that worked really well at the same time as well.
Yeah. No, it was really well done. Like the writers, they just knocked it out of the park with this. There's really not anything that I would like hardcore change about how the movie was written. It's just really well crafted. It's really well edited. I would love to see a director's cut just to see how much like didn't make it to the final
Oh,
cut.
this is when I wish we can get the DVD outtakes. We need a
I
blooper
want the
reel.
Blu-ray now.
So bad,
yeah,
man.
Yeah.
I want the Steelbook. I need the outtakes. I need some commentary. I need the whole 9 yards.
I honestly, I even kind of want to see some of the Skeletor stuff just to see how that was done.
I do too.
I know.
Because you haven't seen any behind the scenes green screen action with him.
No. I am convinced I've seen the movie twice now. I went and saw it last night, then I went and saw it again this morning because I liked it that much. I am now convinced after having seen it twice that it is a combination of CGI and practical. I think it's from the neck down.
Oh, definitely.
I think it's a muscle suit. It's a blue Skeletor muscle suit with the claws and all that stuff.
You can definitely see in a lot when they get up close to it. It looks practical.
It's tactile. It's physical.
Yes.
And then of course, the skull face itself, like Skeletor's actual head, is CGI, and it's got like a little hint of like Ray Harryhausen throwback effect to it, where it almost looks stop motion at times. That I actually really loved.
Like the way his jaw moves at certain times. It's not like just a clear up and down. It's almost like a side and up motion, which again, it's those subtle details. And I love, because I think Mando and Grogu did something where they kind of threw back their effects to the way that the original Star Wars with George Lucas did, which was stop motion.
Yeah.
And I'm loving that's kind of making a comeback a bit.
So some of the robots in Mandalorian Grogu are actually stop motion. They were done by Phil Tippett, who did a lot of work on Star Wars, RoboCop 2, a lot of Terminator stuff, and Jurassic Park. So yeah, that was actually done purposefully, and I actually really, really like that. And I love that they brought Phil Tippett himself in to do those robots, which is dope.
I mean, it may be small and people may not really, or they may, especially modern audiences, maybe, oh, this is kind of lame, but to me, it's showing that there's love and appreciation by the filmmakers to bring back what made things special and kind of put some of that flair in there that we used to get at the same time. And you got it here too. And I know there was still like the slow motion, but I thought the slow motion was used perfectly when he finally unleashes on Skeletor and just beats his ass and he goes, all right. So what do you want to talk about? And I love that moment too, because I was like, oh, this is perfect, because it's so Skeletor.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he knows he's beat. Hold on, let me try and talk my way out of this. Let me try and escape.
Right. It was perfect. What I would say, like, what were your favorite scenes from this movie, or overall favorite scene?
Okay. Oh, overall favorite scene is really hard. I'm gonna say there's two, for two very different reasons. First of all was Beastman appearing in Oklahoma City, and all of it being set to What's Up by Four Non Blondes, which is the very famous song used in the He-Man meme, that video from Slack Circus all those years ago.
Yes.
Beastman just appearing as that song kicks in. It's just such a moment of like, what the hell, like confusion. It was, and then it was great. And also when He-Man actually goes to Snake Mountain to try and surrender to get his parents back, and then all the villains show up and He-Man just like wrecks through all of them, like John Wick style.
Yes.
Fantastic fight scene. Wonderful. But I also really liked the montage of scenes, and this is big spoilers, at the end of the movie, where Adam gets run through with a sword and he's dying and he's like, his life is flashing through his eyes. But all of the hardship he's faced as an adult in Oklahoma City is now represented by Giga Chad, like Skeletor. So like,
thank you. I'm so glad you brought this up, because seeing Skeletor in business attire, or they open up in the gym and he's in like this Nike and he's just like lifting weights. It was hilarious.
I really, really want that bone Nike logo purple hoodie. I want that so much.
My wife and I were talking about this actually. We go, do you think we're going to get a collab drop pretty soon? Because I'm going to buy the hell out of that.
They should, man. They should. But I loved that they were able to do that collection of scenes where it's He-Man, like basically again recounting all these points of his life where his non-toxic masculinity, his ability to reason and talk and use his emotions and his feelings and his words to actually work through situations, has always somehow felt like a detriment from the outside world, even his father. And they were able to kind of reconcile that a little bit, where he always felt like he wasn't who everybody wanted him to be. And for Skeletor to like physically represent that in these manifestations of all of his fears coming to light, that's brilliant filmmaking. That was wonderful.
It was. And I honestly, not for nothing too, would even talk about it, but the Dolph Lundgren cameo I thought was amazing. It was in the gym, because they didn't shoehorn it in a way that kind of took you out of it. It goes, no, he goes to the gym and he's like, do you have any tips? And you can tell he's kind of talking about more than just the gym. And so it felt kind of meta commentary because it felt like Dolph Lundgren was passing the mantle on to him. And that's what the speech kind of was to me. I didn't take it as, oh, tips for the gym or in the movie. It felt more of, do you have any tips for playing this character going forward?
Exactly. Yeah.
You are this definitive guy. And this was Dolph Lundgren being like, hey man, you're going to do great. You got this now. And it was a beautiful moment.
It was really good to see Dolph Lundgren 40 years later say "Good Journey" again. Like,
I know,
I teared up a little bit. I still freaking love the 1987 Masters of the Universe.
That's how you
movie.
do like these passing of the torch movies, man. I mean, you get those little moments, and you get the little wink and the little smile that he gave too when he did it. It was just beautiful, and it felt like you were saying goodbye to that, but also welcoming with opening arms. Hey, this is what we're, and I hope we get sequel. I would watch more than just give me sequel on sequels, because that's the tough part too. Is first of all, the Amazon Prime plays. This is a film by Amazon MGM, which was hilarious because the Amazon truck takes out Beastman, and you're like, oh, that's great product placement for your own studio. They're like, I got to give it to you that one. That was clever. But I do feel like this. I think that they're going to look at the overall reception. I think this is going to be a movie that, especially once it hits streaming, it's probably going to grow some legs. Unfortunately, I just think that's how things are now. I'm not a big box office guy anyways. I always thought in the Rotten Tomatoes, which Rotten Tomatoes is like 67%, but the popcorn meter is at 88%. So there's some disparities there. This is going to be a very big word of mouth movie. And I do think we're going to get at least one, if not two sequels, because first of all, we didn't get Orko, and I was kind of surprised that Orko didn't show up until the very end of the movie there.
Okay, I was going to say we did. We got Orko.
We did. Well, we got Orko at like a post-credit scene there, the first post-credit scene where he kind of shows up. How did you feel about that aspect? Because I know he's a fan favorite these days.
I thought it was fine. Orko was something of a wild card in the original cartoon in that he was magical. He's a wizard, but his magic doesn't work the way he wants it to. So sometimes it's really great and powerful and useful, and sometimes it messes things up. I think that was just a hair too far for a first movie to add that aspect into it and kind of create more confusion for brand new people who are new to the franchise.
Yeah.
It would be totally fine as like a wild card character or like a bit role in a sequel for sure. One thing I was kind of waiting for, and I was kind of disappointed until the very end. I was waiting for Merman to show up because that's one of my favorite Masters of the Universe characters. It was one of my favorite figures too.
Yeah.
And when Orko shows up, like there's Merman in the very back in that marketplace, and I was like, "Oh, there
he is." We got that, and then we're teasing She-Ra.
Yeah,
is coming in the sequel. Like I feel that's what I'm thinking. Like they're not gonna have these post-credit scenes and just do nothing with it, because then we also got Villainy, who takes Skeletor's skull and kind of disappears. And so there's a lot to be excited for. Unfortunately, whoever the stand-in for She-Ra was decided to go ahead and post the credit scene not even the first full day out there. And so good luck not playing that role. But I mean, hey, you got to do it for 2 seconds. I'm interested to see who they're going to cast for that role, if they do, which I'm sure they will. And I hope we don't have to wait years on years, because I think this is a movie, if we can get something within the next couple of years, and it's not made by, what's his name, Matt Reeves. So, not going to wait 5-6 years for it. That I think it's going to be great. And I'm excited to see where these characters go. And then you can bring in Orko, and you can bring in some of these more magical aspects of this universe and really build upon it. Mm-hmm. And that has me excited. Travis Knight has me really excited. I'm bought into He-Man. I'm bought into my kids are fully into Masters Universe, and that's really what it's about.
Yeah, you can find the cartoon on Tubi, and it's not as outlandish and hard to kind of penetrate as like Thundercats is. Thundercats is really weird. He-Man is much more like broadly appealing and easy to kind of get into. It's a lot of fun. It's goofy. It's even goofier. It's way goofier than the movie.
Cheesy. Yeah. It's a timepiece, and it's one of those that just have fun with it. And
exactly,
like people loved the toys, and people, growing up, I know the toys were massive. Transformers was what got me. He-Man, I never really had any of the toys growing up, but I'm interested to see how that all plays out. I'm in. I'm fully in. And actually, not for nothing, if you do want more of this universe, coming out on Wednesday, New Comic Book Day on the 10th, Tim Sheridan, who is an amazing, he actually, co-wrote and actually voiced Mark Hamill's dad, in Revelations, and also that. But he has a comic book with Dark Horse coming out where it's a tie-in to this movie. It's going to be a 4-issue, and it actually, the main character is Orko, and it kind of takes place right after the first act of the movie. So if you want more, there's going to be 4 issues there. Make sure to pick that up. First issue's out on Wednesday. But yeah, what's your? I want to know your rating. What do you give this out of 10?
Oh my God, it's hard for me to give. So I'm on Letterboxd, and anytime you have to leave a review for a movie, you have to do like the out of 5 stars.
I know. I never know, like, should be 5 because Letterboxd says 5, but I know typical ratings are like out of 10. So
yeah,
I go back.
It's hard for me to ever kind of quantify a movie because there are movies I love that are like a 2 out of 10, and there are movies that I don't necessarily enjoy that I know are 10 out of 10. It's just purely based on the fact that they were able to balance the nostalgia and the love for the franchise with really good modern storytelling. And they weren't afraid to change things and modernize things that needed to be done. Honestly, having seen this movie twice in like a 24-hour time frame now, I think that speaks volumes for me.
You don't like anything though, so
I'm gonna say like a 7.5, leaning more towards make me an 8. I just really had so much fun with this movie. And I'm just really proud of everybody involved for what they were able to accomplish with this. And I really hope it finds an audience on streaming and physical media sales. And I hope that's enough to pull it through for a sequel, because Travis Knight needs a win for this. This movie just in general needs a win because it's just a labor of love. And you can just tell how much the people who made this movie love this movie.
Without a doubt. I'm firmly in the camp of it's an 8, 8.5. And I know it's hard to quantify, but I always break it down genres. If I know a movie is not meant to be an Oscar film, I kind of base my scores off of that. If it's an Oscar film, then I'm gonna grade it harder than a comedy, or Fast and Furious are like some of my favorite movies. So I kind of break things up by genres, and I want to go in and I want to have my brain turned off, and I just want to have fun. Heart, humor, spectacle. This movie had it all for me. It's an 8, 8.5 because there was just a couple things that, like I mentioned, kind of almost took me out, but overall I had a blast. This did not feel like it was a slog to get through. If anything, it went really fast at times for me. And
it doesn't feel like 2 hours and 20 minutes. It doesn't at all. The trailers before the movie felt longer to me than the movie itself. The movie just
agreed.
It's got a rhythm to it. Yeah. It's got a really good rhythm to it.
The soundtrack. I'm a sucker for the soundtrack, and this is a soundtrack I'm going to bump in the car, and it's so good. And I would get the soundtrack on vinyl.
I've already gone out and worked out to The Darkness. Justin Hawk is screaming, "We are the masters of the universe." Like, it's just perfect. Like, dude, if there was one band you can grab besides Queen, obviously, who is just the quintessential 80s style, like fantasy band, it's The Darkness, man. What an inspired, awesome choice. Or maybe Muse. Perfect. Muse would have been good too, but there's such a fun energy to The Darkness. Yeah. No. But Muse would have been a little bit probably too serious, whereas The Darkness is self-aware and kind of silly and goofy, and they just nailed it.
They lean into it, and I think that's what you need to. Is this whole movie self-aware? So, wrapping up, where can the good people find you once more if they want more from DT and the SpaceCastle?
Yeah, just do a search for SpaceCastle here on YouTube, or do youtube.com/@SpaceCastle Show, and you can't miss this mug. Sorry.
There. No, you should do it. Trust me. Absolutely do it. And man, I had a lot of fun with this. I want to go see it so bad again. So before
do it, man, it needs the money, man. Go out and see it as many times as you can.
go talk about this movie. Go see this movie. I get it. Movies can be expensive, but I paid $38 for 3 tickets, and I had my Regal Unlimited. And if you have AMC Plus or Regal Unlimited, honestly, like going twice a month pays for itself. And so you got Supergirl coming up on the 26th. Let's get this movie some legs. Let's beat those YouTubers out there. I'm not saying those YouTubers made bad movies. I haven't seen all of them yet, but come on, man. We need a win. Us old folks need a win. Nostalgia, whatever it may be. Let's get Masters Universe on out there, and everybody else out there. We will see you guys next time. Because when Lauren gets back, we are going to be talking Spider Noir. So another retro throwback, if you will. And DT, as always, man, it's always a pleasure talking to you.
Good journey, Matt.
Hey, Masters of the Universe. in my head.